What if the thing you feared most, the unknown, the unanswered question, the voice calling out in the dark, what if that was never the enemy? What if that was actually the answer? Hey, everyone. Welcome back. If you're new here, glad you found us. And if you've been riding with us for a while, you already know we don't do shallow around here. Today, we are going deep. We are diving headfirst into one of the most ambitious, emotionally layered animated sequels ever made. A movie that came out in 2019, shattered box office records, and still, to this day, splits audiences right down the middle. I'm talking about Frozen 2. Now, before you check out and say, oh, it's just a kid's movie,
Yeah, really
hold on.
is.
Sit down. Because here's the thing, Frozen 2 is not just a kid's movie. And I would argue, if you watched it as an adult and walked away underwhelmed, there's a real possibility you weren't listening. Because this movie is saying something deep. Something that hits differently the older you get. It's about identity. It's about ancestral guilt. It's about the terrifying courage it takes to follow the truth when every safe, comfortable thing in your life is telling you to stay put. And Elsa, Queen, elemental force, daughter of the storm, she hears a voice. A voice no one else can hear. Calling her into the unknown. And she goes. She actually goes. We're going to break this movie apart today. Every scene. Every character. Every hidden meaning. Every musical moment. Every gorgeous frame. We are going to figure out why this movie works, where it stumbles, and what it is genuinely trying to tell us. So grab something warm, honestly, the movie kind of demands it, and let's go into the unknown. Section 2, Movie Overview. Frozen 2 was released on November 22, 2019, by Walt Disney Animation Studios. It was directed by the same creative team that brought us the original, Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck, with Jennifer Lee also serving as screenwriter. The film stars the returning voices of Idina Menzel as Elsa, Kristen Bell as Anna, Josh Gad as Olaf the Snowman, and Jonathan Groff as Kristoff. Joining the cast this time around are Evan Rachel Wood as Queen Iduna, Elsa and Anna's mother, Sterling K. Brown as Lieutenant Mattias, Martha Plimpton as Yelana, and Jason Ritter as Ryder. The movie had an enormous amount to live up to. The original Frozen, released in 2013, had become an absolute cultural phenomenon. Let It Go was inescapable for what felt like years. The film won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. It grossed over $1.27 billion worldwide and introduced a generation of kids, and adults, to Elsa, Anna, and the magical kingdom of Arendelle. So when they announced a sequel, the pressure was immense. Everyone had a theory. Everyone had a wish list. People wanted Elsa to find a girlfriend. People wanted to understand her powers. People wanted more songs. People wanted to know where those powers came from. And to the filmmakers' credit, they didn't just make Frozen 1.5. They swung for the fences. Frozen 2 is darker, more mature, more philosophically complex than its predecessor. The color palette shifts from the sparkling blues and whites of the original to deep purples, burning ambers, ancient forest greens. The tone shifts from fairy tale romance to a kind of mythological quest, something closer to a Miyazaki film or a Norse legend than a traditional Disney princess story. It earned $1.45 billion worldwide at the box office, making it one of the highest-grossing animated films of all time. Critics were generally positive, 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, but audience reactions were more mixed. Some loved it. Some felt confused. Some felt it was too complicated for kids and not quite satisfying enough for adults. But here's what I want to argue today. I think Frozen 2 is genuinely great. Imperfect, absolutely. But great. And I think the people who bounced off it were, in many cases, expecting a different movie than the one they got. So let's get into the film itself. Scene by scene. Moment by moment. Let's understand what it's actually doing. Section 3, Full Story Breakdown. The Prologue, Bedtime in the Kingdom. The film opens years before the main story, with a memory. Young Elsa and young Anu are being tucked into bed by their parents, King Agnarr and Queen Iduna. And their father is telling them a bedtime story. Not just any story. A story about an enchanted forest to the north. A place called the Enchanted Forest, home to people called the Northuldra, a tribe who lived in harmony with the elemental spirits. The story goes like this: Agnar's own father, the previous king of Arendelle, built a gift for the Northuldra, a dam, meant to strengthen their land. But something went wrong. The elemental spirits rose up in anger. A battle broke out between the Arendellians and the Northuldra. The spirits unleashed chaos. And the enchanted forest was sealed away behind a wall of mist, a thick, impenetrable magical fog that let no one in and no one out. A young Agnarr was saved by a mysterious stranger in the chaos. He never saw who. He never found out. The forest has been sealed ever since. Now here's what the film is doing already. In these opening minutes, it's planting every major seed of the story. The dam. The Northuldra. The spirits. The mysterious savior. The origin of the conflict. All of it is laid out right here, in what the audience likely registers as a charming fairy tale backstory. But it is not backstory. It is the story. Every single element of this prologue comes back with shattering consequences. And then there's this gorgeous, haunting detail: as the girls fall asleep, Iduna, their mother, sings softly to herself a lilting, wordless melody. A call, almost. We will hear this melody again. Arendelle is at peace, but something is coming. Flash forward to the present. Arendelle is thriving. Elsa is queen. Anna and Kristoff are very much in love, though Kristoff has been trying, and spectacularly failing, to propose. Olaf is philosophical and cheerful and going through what he calls change. The four of them are playing a game of charades with the trolls, and everything feels warm and safe and right. This is important. The film is very deliberate about showing us how good things are before it takes them away. There's a sequence, almost comedically extended, of Kristoff trying to propose, being interrupted over and over, framing the ring in Olaf's face, in a field of flowers, in a speech, and every single time, something more important comes up. It's funny. It's also quietly heartbreaking if you watch his face. Jonathan Groff does beautiful work here with very little dialogue. But the scene that matters most in this opening act is the one where Elsa is alone. Alone by the shore. And she hears something. A voice. It's faint. It's distant. It's musical and haunting and unlike anything else in the film's soundscape. And Elsa isn't sure she's heard it at all, but her powers react. Ice blooms instinctively from her hands. She looks startled. Unnerved. Curious. She tries to ignore it. She goes back to her life. But the voice comes again. And again. And this time, she responds. She sings back. And the whole palace shimmers and shakes. This is the moment the film truly begins. The call has been made. The answer has been given. There's no going back now. The spirits awaken. Arendelle is threatened. That night, without warning, the elemental spirits are awakened. The fire spirit, appearing as a small, darting flame, causes chaos across Arendelle. Wind picks up with impossible force. The ground trembles. The water knock stirs unseen beneath the waves. Earth giants rumble in the distance. The people of Arendelle flee. Grandpappy the troll arrives with the other trolls and delivers the film's first major thematic statement: the past is not at rest. The spirits will not be calmed until the truth about what happened in the enchanted forest is revealed. And here, Anna steps forward. Not Elsa. Anna. She is the one who says, "Then we go north. We find the forest. We find the truth. If Arendelle is in danger, the answer is forward. Not backward. Always forward." This is a crucial moment of character framing that the movie will keep returning to. Elsa is driven by the voice, by a mysterious, almost spiritual calling that she doesn't fully understand. Anna is driven by love and logic, by the very practical, deeply emotional belief that if you face the thing you fear, if you tell the truth, everything works out. These are two different philosophies of courage. And they are going to come into conflict. The group sets out: Elsa, Anna, Kristoff, Sven the reindeer, and Olaf. They head north. The enchanted forest, into the unknown. They reach the wall of mist. It shimmers and pulses with quiet, Ancient power. And Elsa steps forward and parts it. Just like that. As if the forest has been waiting for her. The mist closes behind them. Inside the forest, everything is still. There's the sense of something suspended, like the whole place has been holding its breath for 30 plus years. They find evidence of the battle that drove everyone out. Old Arendellian soldiers. And Northuldra people. All of them frozen in their positions, not in ice, but in time, caught in a place where nothing has moved since the mist descended. But they are alive. Immediately, the tension erupts. The Arendellian soldiers and the Northuldra people spring into confrontation with each other, mirroring the battle that got them all trapped in the first place. Old wounds. Old loyalties. Old fear. And here comes one of the film's best characters, Lieutenant Mattias. Played with tremendous warmth and gravitas by Sterling K. Brown. He's been standing guard for 34 years. He doesn't know anything has changed. He knows his duty. He knows his loyalty. He is, in some ways, the most tragic figure in the movie, a man who has given everything to a post he can't even be certain still exists. The wind spirit, the gale, also makes itself known here. Playful, chaotic, invisible, leaving swirling leaves in its wake. It interacts with Elsa like a curious animal checking out a stranger. There's something almost immediately likable about the wind spirit, and it's a smart directorial choice, giving the film a moment of lightness right when you need it. The memory, the scarf, and a devastating revelation. The wind spirit drops something in Elsa's hands, her mother's scarf. A particular scarf with an unusual, geometric pattern. And Elsa recognizes the pattern. She has seen it in old stories. It is Northuldra. Her mother's scarf is Northuldra. This is the first real crack in the story's foundation. A question forms: who was Queen Iduna? Where did she really come from? The film holds this revelation carefully, letting the audience sit with the question as Elsa does. But then the Northuldra leader, Yelana, confirms it. The mysterious person who saved young Agnarr during the battle, who led him out of the chaos and delivered him safely. That was Iduna. A Northuldra girl. She saved the Arendellian prince. And in doing so, broke ranks with her own people during a war. She must have known the risk. She did it anyway. Elsa and Anna are Northuldra. Half, at least. Their mother was one of the forest people. Think about what this means for a second. These two women have spent their whole lives as royalty of Arendelle, a kingdom that, as we're about to learn, committed an act of profound injustice against the Northuldra. They carry the history of both sides of a war in their blood. They are, literally, the living embodiment of the possibility of reconciliation. This is the mythology getting genuinely interesting. This is the film earning its complexity. Into the dark sea, the water horse. Elsa, pushed forward by the voice, separates from the group and heads toward the dark sea, a wild, violent stretch of ocean between the forest and a legendary land called Arendelle, which is said to hold all the memories of the past. Her mother used to sing about Arendelle. There's a river full of memory, if you dare to go deeper in. And Elsa, hearing that voice again, knows, that's where she has to go. The Dark Sea sequence is one of the most breathtaking pieces of animation in the entire film, arguably in Disney history. The water is rendered with extraordinary detail. Wave after wave crashes against Elsa as she fights her way out. And emerging from the waves is the water knock, the water spirit, taking the form of a massive horse made entirely of roiling, wide-capped ocean water. The fight between Elsa and the knock is spectacular. She rides it. She subdues it. She doesn't destroy it, she earns its trust. And then she rides the knock across the dark sea toward Arendelle alone. This is the moment the film splits. Elsa goes one way, Anna and Olaf go another, underground, into a cave where a series of magical ice sculptures have recorded the hidden history of Arendelle. And Kristoff is still in the forest, still trying to propose, more and more desperately, to Anna. The structural split here is bold. It's a gamble. We spend the film's third act with three separate storylines running simultaneously. For some audiences, this is where the movie loses them. But if you trust each storyline, they pay off in devastating fashion. Arendelle, the truth at the bottom of the river. Elsa reaches Arendelle. It is the most gorgeous location in the film. An enormous glacier palace, ancient and crystalline, holding within it every sound, every memory, every moment that has ever occurred in this part of the world. And here, in the depths of Arendelle, Elsa gets her answers. She sings "Show Yourself." We'll talk more about this song in the music section, as she dives deeper and deeper into the memories of the past. She sees her mother as a child. She sees the battle. She sees the dam, and she sees the truth. The dam was not a gift. The dam was built to weaken the Northuldra. It was a deliberate act of aggression disguised as generosity. The old king of Arendelle, Elsa and Anna's grandfather, built it to limit the Northuldra's power. He wanted to control the enchanted forest. He wanted the spirits subdued. The dam is a lie. Arendelle's kindness was a lie. The whole foundation of the conflict, the reason the spirits are angry, the reason the mist descended, it all comes back to that dam. And then, in the deepest chamber of Arendelle, Elsa sees one more thing, the memory of the moment the spirits turned on everyone. She hears the voice she has been following, and she understands, finally, what she is. She is the fifth spirit. A bridge between the human world and the elemental world. She is the answer to a question that has been building for generations. It is a magnificent, genuinely moving revelation. Idina Menzel sells every second of it with her voice, the awe, the recognition, the gratitude, the terror. But Arendelle has a warning built into its very structure: go too deep and the magic overwhelms you. And Elsa does go too deep. In her excitement, in her urgency to send Anna the message, she pushes past the boundary, and she is frozen. Not in the playful, ice crystal way. In the terrifying, she might actually be dead way. Before the cold takes her, she sends one last message, the memory of what she found, crystallized in ice, sent shooting out toward Anna through the magic of the forest. Anna, the hardest kind of right. Meanwhile, Anna and Olaf have been underground, piecing together the history from the ice sculptures. They know about the dam. They are close to understanding. But then Elsa goes still in Arendelle. And with Elsa frozen, her magic dies. And with her magic on, Olaf begins to dissipate. He loses form. He loses coherence. His snowflakes drift apart. This is the single most emotionally devastating scene in the movie. Possibly one of the most emotionally devastating scenes in any Disney animated film. Period. Full stop. Olaf is dying. In real time. In front of Anna. And he's not afraid. That's what makes it so unbearable. He's talking about the things he's learned, the things he understands now. He says, with characteristic sweetness, that he thinks growing up means being able to hold on to the things you love even when they change. And then he's gone. Just gone. A pile of snowflakes on a cavern floor. And Anna, alone in the dark, absolutely shattered, does the most extraordinary thing. She doesn't crumble. She doesn't quit. She thinks. In the worst moment of her life, having just lost Olaf, not knowing whether Elsa is alive or dead, trapped underground, she works through the problem with the clarity of someone who has decided that love is not a feeling, it is a choice, and the choice is always forward. She reasons it out, the dam must fall. That's what needs to happen. That's what will free the spirits, lift the mist, and, if Elsa is still out there, give her magic a purpose to come back to. The dam is the lie at the heart of everything. And the truth, no matter what it costs, is always the right path. She goes to the earth giants, the enormous, elemental stone creatures who have been throwing boulders at each other, and she goads them. She provokes them. She gets them to follow her. And she leads them straight to the dam. The dam shatters, the water rushes toward Arendelle. And just as the wave is about to hit, Elsa comes back. Awakened, thawed, restored, fully realized. She rides the knock at full speed. She calls up every drop of her power. She stops the water. She turns it. She saves Arendelle. And the mist lifts. And the forest is free. And the spirits settle. And the Northuldra people walk out of the enchanted forest for the first time in over 30 years. And Olaf comes back. Because Elsa is back, and her magic is restored, and those snowflakes find each other again, and Olaf blinks and looks around and says, hang on, what just happened? The audience, roughly 80% of them, is crying at this point. The resolution, a changed world. In the aftermath, the truth about the dam and Arendelle's founding lies revealed to everyone. And here, the film makes a choice that is genuinely gutsy. The right thing to do is not comfortable. The right thing is costly. Anna, now crowned Queen of Arendelle, because Elsa chooses to stay in the Enchanted Forest as the fifth spirit, delivers a quiet, crucial message. Arendelle did wrong. The reparations aren't instant, they aren't painless, but they are right. Anna begins the process of making amends to the Northuldra people. And Elsa? Elsa has found her place. Not the throne. Not the castle. Not the ice palace on the mountain. The Enchanted Forest. She's what she has always been, something elemental, something wild, something that belongs to the world of spirits as much as the world of people. And for the first time, the truth doesn't isolate her. It sets her free. The film ends on a note of quiet joy. Kristoff finally, beautifully proposes, and Anna says yes. Elsa visits. The world is different, changed, but it's also more honest. More whole. And somehow, that feels exactly right. Section 4, Character and Performance Analysis. Elsa, the weight of being called. Elsa's arc in Frozen 2 is, at its core, about answering a calling you don't fully understand. The film opens with her at the height of what she should want: power, security, love, a kingdom that accepts her. And she is restless. The voice reaches her not because she's unhappy, but because she is incomplete. Because there is a truth about herself that she hasn't yet accessed. Idina Menzel gives one of her best vocal performances here. Into the Unknown is a masterclass in vulnerability, the push and pull between desire and fear, between the known and the terrifying, unfamiliar pull of something bigger than you. And show yourself is a triumph of emotional payoff. What's fascinating about Elsa in this film is how the writers resist the temptation to make her journey about power. She doesn't get stronger. She doesn't unlock some new, incredible ability she didn't have before. Her journey is about understanding. About context. About learning that what she is was never a mistake. She is the fifth element. The bridge. The answer to a prayer her mother sent out decades ago when she saved a boy from a battle and hoped, desperately, that something good would come of it. Elsa is that something good. And realizing that, accepting that, is the most powerful thing she does in the entire film. Anna, the underrated heart of this movie. Can we talk about Anna for a moment? Because I think Anna is routinely underrated in discussions of Frozen 2, and I want to correct that. Anna's arc is quieter than Elsa *s. It doesn't come with a magical transformation or a fifth spirit revelation. But it is, if anything, more emotionally demanding. Because Anna's arc is about loving someone and letting them go. It's about trusting that the right thing is the right thing even when the right thing looks like losing everything. When Anna loses Olaf, loses contact with Elsa, and finds herself alone in a dark cavern, that is the film's true test. Not of magic. Not of power. Of character. And Anna passes it with flying colors. She reasons through her grief. She chooses action over despair. She does the hard thing. Kristen Bell is wonderful here. Her comedic timing is, as always, impeccable, but it's the quiet moments that stick with you. The way Anna says Olaf's name as he fades. The way she steadies herself before running toward the earth giants. The way she listens, really listens, when Elsa tells her she won't be coming home. Anna is the film's emotional spine, and she becomes queen not because she has magic, not because of destiny, but because she has wisdom, and courage, and an unfailing commitment to doing right by the people she loves. Olaf, surprisingly the film's most philosophical character. People love Olaf. He's funny, he's sweet, he's Josh Gad at his most disarmingly charming. But in Frozen 2, the filmmakers give him something genuinely interesting to do. He becomes the film's philosophical narrator. Olaf is the character who most explicitly grapples with the film's themes about change, memory, and the nature of growing up. He delivers a monologue mid-film, "When I am older, I will understand," that is played for laughs on the surface but is actually about something real, the discomfort of not knowing. The way adults reassure children with "you'll understand when you're older" even when they themselves don't have all the answers. And then he dies. And the film doesn't flinch from the weight of that. His last moments, talking about knowledge and memory and what it means to love, are genuinely beautiful. His return at the end is earned, not cheap, because the storytelling has been honest about what it would mean if he didn't come back. We felt it. So when he does return, we feel that too. Kristoff, the eternal proposer. Okay, let's be honest, Kristoff gets the short end of the stick in Frozen 2. His storyline, the perpetually failed proposal, is played almost entirely for comedy, and while it's funny, it doesn't really connect meaningfully to the film's larger themes. There's an 80s power ballad musical number called Lost in the Woods that is both brilliantly conceived and slightly self-aware in its excess. It's shot and edited like a classic rock video, and it's genuinely hilarious. But it also kind of underlines the issue: Kristoff's arc is a joke, and the movie knows it. Jonathan Groff is likable and committed throughout. He does everything the script asks of him. The problem is the script doesn't ask enough. Kristoff deserved more. In the original Frozen, he was the skeptical outsider who learned to trust. In Frozen 2, he's the boyfriend who's bad at proposing. It's a downgrade. A minor flaw in an otherwise strong film. Lieutenant Mattias, the man outside of time. Sterling K. Brown brings enormous dignity and warmth to a character who could easily have been a minor supporting role. Mattias has been standing guard in a frozen forest for 34 years. He doesn't know if Arendelle still stands. He doesn't know if his king is alive. He only knows his duty. There's a beautiful scene where he and Anna talk about what it means to do the right thing when you can't see the outcome. He talks about faith, not religious faith, but the faith you keep in yourself, in your values, in the idea that the things you've sacrificed for actually matter. Mattias is the film's moral compass in a very different way than Anna is. Anna's goodness is active and instinctive. Mattias's goodness is patient, hard-won, and exhausted. And he's wonderful. Section 5, Themes, Symbolism and Subtext. The Dam, a metaphor for inherited lies. The dam is the film's central symbol. Let's be clear about what it represents. The dam was built with good intentions on the surface, or at least, good intention language. A gift. A strengthening. But underneath, it was an act of control. The previous king of Arendelle wanted the Northuldra to be dependent, weakened, manageable. He dressed oppression up as generosity. And generations later, his granddaughters are living with the consequences of that lie. They are part of an institution, Arendelle itself, that is built on a foundation of harm done to another people. They didn't build the dam. They didn't authorize the battle. But they benefit from the kingdom that the dam was meant to protect. They are complicit, as all of us are complicit in the historical wrongs of the systems we inherit. The film is saying something very clear here: knowing the truth is not enough. You have to act on it. You have to be willing to bring down the dam, even when that might flood your own hometown. Doing the right thing doesn't mean doing the easy thing. It means doing the necessary thing, and trusting that something good will survive the flood. This is remarkably sophisticated messaging for an animated film aimed at families. It is, at heart, a story about reckoning with the sins of your ancestors. And it handles that theme with more nuance and less self-congratulation than many adult films do. The voice, following what you cannot explain. The voice Elsa hears is more than a plot device. It is a symbol of what it feels like to have a calling that your rational mind cannot justify. The voice doesn't explain itself. It doesn't offer a destination or a promise. It just calls, insistently, and Elsa has to decide whether to follow. The film presents this as a deeply personal spiritual experience, and it doesn't simplify it. The people who love Elsa are frightened by the voice. They don't hear it. They can't validate it. And yet it's real. And Elsa knows it's real. And she has to make the terrifying choice to trust her own experience over the comfort of consensus. For anyone who has ever felt called to something, an art form, a change of life, a truth about themselves, that resonance is real. The film is speaking very directly to the experience of being different in a way you can't explain or justify to the people you love. The fifth spirit, the bridge between worlds. The concept of Elsa as the fifth spirit is rich with symbolic meaning. The four classical elements, earth, water, wind, fire, are forces of nature, powerful and pure, but limited to their own domain. The fifth spirit is different. The fifth spirit is the bridge between the elemental world and the human world. In other words, Elsa's power is not domination. It is connection. It is reconciliation. She is not the most powerful in the room, she is the most necessary in the room. Because she can speak to things that cannot speak to each other. This reframes her entire character in a beautiful way. In the original Frozen, Elsa's arc was about containment, about learning to stop hiding. In Frozen 2, her arc is about purpose, about learning that she was never supposed to be contained, because containment was never what the world needed from her. Memory and history, Ahtohallan as collective memory. Ahtohallan, described as a river that holds all memory, is a strikingly potent symbol. The film presents it as a place where the past is not dead, it is preserved, accessible, but also dangerous. Go too deep, and you are overwhelmed, frozen. Lost. This is a perfect metaphor for how we relate to history and trauma. Some engagement with the past is necessary, you need to know what happened. But if you drown in it, if you let the weight of what was done prevent you from acting in the present, you freeze. You become a monument to pain rather than an agent of healing. The film is saying, learn from the past. Honor the past. But don't let it become your cage. Change and growing up, Olaf's thread. Throughout the film, Olaf keeps returning to the phrase when you're older. He's been told that you understand things better when you're older, and he's earnestly trying to figure out what that means, cataloging examples, taking notes. It's played for laughs, but it's genuinely thematically resonant. The film ends with Olaf concluding that growing up doesn't mean getting more answers. It means getting more comfortable with uncertainty. With change. With the fact that the world is not static, that the people you love will change, that you yourself will change, and that's okay. That's actually beautiful, if you let it be. For a movie aimed in part at children, that is a sophisticated and deeply humane message. Change is not lost. Change is life. Section 6. Technical and Artistic Review. Direction, a more ambitious, darker vision. Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck were working at the height of their powers on Frozen 2. The direction is noticeably more confident than the original, wider in scope, darker in tone, more willing to sit with silence and atmosphere. What stands out most is the way the film uses space. Arendelle feels warm and small and safe. The Enchanted Forest feels vast and ancient and unknowable. Ahtohallan feels like something beyond language, a place that exists at the boundary of the comprehensible. The directors understand that the physical settings of the film are also emotional states, and they direct the spaces accordingly. There's also a willingness to take time. The Dark Sea sequence, for instance, is not rushed. We spend real minutes watching Elsa fight those waves. The animation demands that we sit with the scale of what she's attempting. Animation, an absolute technical triumph. Full stop. This is some of the finest animation ever produced. The water in Frozen 2 is genuinely astonishing. The water knock is a piece of animation that has no real precedent, a creature made entirely of moving water that conveys personality, strength, and a kind of dangerous beauty. But it's not just the water. The fire. The wind. The way the gale tosses leaves in spirals that feel both playful and uncanny. The earth giants, massive, slow-moving, implacably powerful, rendered with an enormous sense of geological weight. The autumn leaves of the Enchanted Forest, falling in the dark. Every frame of this movie is composed with the attention of a fine art painting. The team at Walt Disney Animation studied references from Scandinavian folklore, Norse mythology, and the landscapes of the Norwegian fjords and Finnish wilderness extensively, and it shows. The world feels like it has roots, like it grew out of something real, not just something designed. Music, Kristoff Beck, and the songs of Menzel and Lopez. The score by Kristoff Beck is understated and atmospheric, all drones and ancient-sounding textures and the haunting use of solo voice. It deliberately steps back from the kind of sweeping orchestral bombast you might expect and instead creates something that feels older, stranger, more elemental. It works beautifully. And then there are the songs. Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, the songwriting team behind Let It Go, have created a score here that is arguably more interesting, if less immediately hummable, than the original. Into the Unknown is a masterpiece of ambivalence, It captures the feeling of being called to something you're afraid of with extraordinary precision. Show Yourself is the emotional climax of the film, a song of recognition and acceptance that builds to one of the most emotionally satisfying moments in the Disney canon. Some Things Never Change is a lovely, deceptively simple ensemble number that quietly foreshadows everything that is about to change. When I Am Older is Olaf's perfectly calibrated comic set piece. The Next Right Thing, Anna's solo in the darkest moment of her journey, is an absolute gut punch of a song. Quiet, slow, devastated. It is, in my view, the best song in the film and one of the best Disney ballads in 20 years. If you haven't sat with that song recently, go back. Let it hit you. Lost in the Woods is pure, delightful pastiche, a reference to the classic rock video format executed with knowing humor and genuine craft. And if Kristoff's subplot is the weakest part of the film narratively, at least it gave us that number. Editing and pacing. The film runs 103 minutes and there are stretches, particularly in the middle act, where the pacing becomes somewhat fractured. The decision to split the narrative three ways as Elsa, Anna, and Kristoff all pursue their separate threads creates some structural tension that isn't always resolved cleanly. Audiences accustomed to the tighter, more linear narrative of the original may find themselves slightly disoriented. But the editing earns its choices in the climax. The intercut sequence between Elsa's awakening, Anna's confrontation with the Earth Giants, and the wave rushing toward Arendelle is dynamically assembled, cross-cutting between the three threads to build the tension to an almost unbearable pitch before releasing it all at once. It's very well done. Section 7, Critical Review and Comparisons. What Frozen 2 gets absolutely right. Let me start with the things this film nails, because there are a lot of them. First, thematic ambition. Frozen 2 is trying to say something meaningful about history, truth, identity, and the courage required to reckon honestly with the wrongs of the past. It is trying to do this in a way that is accessible to children and resonant for adults. And it mostly succeeds. The dam metaphor is elegant. The Northuldra storyline is handled with more care and nuance than you might expect from a big studio animated film. Second, Elsa's arc. The concept of Elsa as the fifth spirit is the most satisfying answer to the question what is she? That the franchise could have given. It doesn't diminish her power, it gives it meaning. It places her within a larger story, a larger history, and does so with genuine mythological weight. Third, Anna's darkest moment. The cavern scene is extraordinary. It is one of the most honest pieces of emotional writing in recent Disney history. It doesn't reach for a quick resolution. It doesn't let Anna off the hook with a convenient rescue. She has to find her way through the darkness herself. And she does. Fourth, the animation. I've already said this, but I'll say it again. This is Disney at the absolute peak of what their technology and artistry can produce. There are frames in this movie that deserve to hang in museums. Where the film falls short. Now, where does it stumble? Kristoff's subplot. This is the most commonly cited criticism of the film and it's completely valid. The never-ending proposal joke is funny the first time, still funny the second time, less funny by the third, and by the fourth you just feel bad for the character. He deserves better. His relationship with Anna is one of the best things about both films, and in Frozen 2 it gets reduced to a running gag. Pacing in the second act. The film spends a lot of time establishing the Enchanted Forest and the Northuldra people, and while this is necessary world building, it slows the momentum significantly. For younger audiences especially, this stretch can feel like a lot of setup without enough payoff. The ending feels slightly rushed. After the enormous emotional climax, the dam breaking, the water rushing, Elsa's triumphant return, the resolution moves very quickly. The emotional beats are hit, but not always given room to breathe. A few more minutes in that final act would have deepened the impact considerably. And there is a question, one that some critics raised, about whether the film's resolution asks too little of Arendelle as an institution. Anna becomes queen. She will make things right. The Northuldra are free. But there's a sense in which the mechanism of repair, the actual, grinding, complicated work of reckoning with an unjust history, is gestured at rather than dramatized. The film raises a very adult question and gives it a somewhat child-appropriate answer. That's understandable. But it's worth noting. Comparisons: where does Frozen 2 sit? Comparing Frozen 2 to other animated sequels is instructive. It is significantly better than most. It doesn't repeat the original story with a fresh coat of paint, it doesn't betray its characters, it doesn't exist purely as a merchandising exercise. It is a genuine attempt to deepen and expand a world. In the Disney canon, the most useful comparison might be The Lion King and its relationship to Hamlet, a mythological, spiritually inflected story about the past reaching out to demand reckoning from the living. Frozen 2 has that same quality. The past is not gone. It is pressing on the present, demanding acknowledgement. From Pixar, the closest analogue might be Coco, another film that is fundamentally about memory, history, and the relationship between the living and the dead, wrapped in breathtaking visual beauty. Coco is arguably a more emotionally focused film, but Frozen 2 is more thematically ambitious. Outside of animation, the film's closest spiritual cousin might be something like Hayao Miyazaki's Princess Mononoke or Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, films about the relationship between human civilization and elemental nature, about the cost of refusing to listen to what the natural world is telling you. Those are adult films of extraordinary depth. Frozen 2 doesn't reach quite those heights. It's still a family film with franchise obligations, but it is reaching in that direction. And that matters. Section 8, Final Verdict and Rating. What this movie is really about. Frozen 2 is, at its heart, a film about the courage it takes to tell the truth. Not small truths, big ones. The truths that cost you something. The truths that require you to look honestly at the things you've inherited, your history, your family, your kingdom, your sense of who you are, and decide that the truth matters more than the comfort of not knowing. Elsa follows a voice into the unknown. Anna blows up a dam that could flood her home. Both of them choose truth over safety, over comfort, over the version of reality that would let them sleep better at night. And both of them are made more whole by it. There's a line in the film, Anna says it in the darkest moment of her journey, in the cavern, in the dark, with Olaf gone and Elsa unreachable. She says, do the next right thing. Not the heroic thing. Not the triumphant thing. Just the next right thing. One step at a time. I think that's genuinely beautiful. I think that's genuinely useful. And I think that's why this movie deserves more credit than it often gets. Who should watch this film? If you have children and have somehow avoided this movie, watch it with the M. It's gorgeous. It's funny. It's emotionally rich. They'll love it, and it'll give you a lot to talk about afterward. If you watched it when it came out and felt underwhelmed, give it another try. I'd recommend going in with less expectation of a sequel to Frozen 1 and more expectation of a standalone mythological adventure about two women learning the truth about who they are. It plays better. If you've already seen it multiple times and love it, hi. You're my people. Go watch The Next Right Thing again and cry for a bit. You've earned it. Final rating. Frozen 2 is a bold, beautiful, occasionally imperfect film that swings for something genuinely meaningful and connects more often than it misses. Its technical achievements are beyond reproach. Its thematic ambitions are admirable. Its central performances are excellent. Its music is among the best in recent Disney history. It stumbles with Kristoff. It could breathe more at the end. And its structural ambition sometimes outpaces its narrative execution. But at its best, in Elsa's discovery of Arendelle, in Anna's darkest hour, in the dam breaking and the water rushing and Elsa riding the Knock across a wild and impossible sea, it is absolutely extraordinary. My final rating, 8.5 out of 10. It's not perfect. But it's remarkable. And it's trying to say something that matters. In 2019, in an industry that too often settles for comfort, that ambition alone deserves to be honored. Closing statement. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you made it here, you're committed, and I love that for us. If this video gave you something to think about, if it made you want to rewatch Frozen 2 with fresh eyes, please hit that like button and subscribe. We do this for every major film that deserves the deep dive treatment. Coming up next, we've got more Disney, more animated masterpieces, and some live-action films that have been sitting in the backlog waiting for their moment. Until then, do the next right thing. I'll see you in the next one.